Doghouse Podcast is back. Got a great return guest. Been on several times. Always great to talk with Seth Saunders from Preferred Walk On. How are we doing today?
Doing great, Trey. Glad to be back, brother. I always enjoy coming on, talking with you. G-Day coming up, man. Exciting this weekend.
That's right. We got G-Day preview upon us. Make sure to like, subscribe, share the Doghouse Podcast. So, saw Seth online, big Masters fan. What'd you think about the final? I know that got a little hairy on the 18th hole with Rory, but what were your thoughts on the Masters?
Yeah, man, that event is undefeated, 90-0. I mean, it's just outstanding. The drama is always there. It is, in my opinion, the greatest venue in all of sports. I've been lucky enough to be there twice. I went in 2018 with my dad and actually was back this year for the par 3 on Wednesday. And man, anytime you get to be on that property, you just kind of breathe it in and like, this is awesome. I have told many people that if somebody said, hey, if you could only go to one live event for the rest of your life, but you had to give up going to all other live events, what would you choose? I mean, dude, for me, it's going to the Masters, and it's not even a question. Like, I would give all the rest of it up if I got to spend 7 days on property every year and watch that golf tournament and enjoy that venue, man. It's awesome. And they do everything right. So it's great. And you know, Rory, man, he's gotten rid of some of the ghosts, right? There's a lot of Georgia in that, where it took a long time to get off the schneid. And now that he's done it, he's free and back-to-back titles in Augusta. So a little bit of dog in him, I guess, now.
That's right. And back-to-back, very impressive. So hard to do. So that was awesome.
Yeah.
Yep. And actually, my sister, she got to go for the first time too. Her husband got some last-minute tickets on Friday, so she got to go and look at it. Not a golf fan, but just loved the whole environment. That was awesome.
Yeah, and that's the point too, man. It's like I've told people, you don't even have to like really be into golf or any of that, right? It's just one of those things where if you get the opportunity to go and experience it, the answer is an immediate yes, because you won't regret it. My wife went with us, and my buddy's wife went with him on Wednesday, and neither one of them had been before. And I wouldn't classify either of them as like golf fans, right? But both of them loved it, had a great time, and I think it's just one of those things. So yeah, it's the best, man.
That's awesome. We got G-Day coming up on Saturday, 1:00, Sanford Stadium. I believe it's going to be streamed. I know last year it wasn't streamed, so the rumor is ESPN Plus or SEC Network Plus, whatever it is. So what's your thoughts on it actually being televised this year? I know a lot of other teams aren't, and I know got rid of the whole transfer portal window. So what's your thoughts on that being actually streamed this year or televised?
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited about it. I will not be in attendance this year, so it's awesome to get to peek at it. And I think for all of us that love college football, you want to this is like you whet the appetite a little bit. The one opportunity to see your team and kind of see how they look as we start approaching the 2026 college football season. That's always the cool thing too, I think, about the Masters. It's kind of like, oh wait, spring football is wrapping up, and now we can like officially start the countdown back to college football. And so I always feel like it's an exciting turn, but yeah, I'm excited to see what this roster looks like. Obviously a lot of change in a lot of different positions. And so it'll be interesting to see some guys and see what they look like. I mean, look, at the end of the day, it's a scrimmage, right? So it won't ultimately mean anything, but it'll be nice for all of us who follow the program and are interested to see how certain guys are progressing, to kind of see what they look like in a live environment, and also to see some new faces for the first time wearing the Power G on their helmet. So I'm excited about all that, man. I'll always look forward to G-Day. I think it's a great event. That's another one where if you get the opportunity to go, it's great. Campus is always magnificent this time of year. Great to be in the stadium whenever you can be. So being at Sanford is always awesome. And it's one of those things too, where if you can take your kids, I feel like it's so much more relaxed and just a great environment. So yeah, I'm really excited about it.
Yeah. Also very, very affordable for people with big families. So it's always great.
Yeah.
So look. I know Gunner's going to be the man. Gunner Stockton coming in. I know he's got a little bit of maybe some knee issues, but hopefully getting through that. But it's going to be the battle of the Ryans, Ryan Montgomery versus Ryan Puglisi. Who do you think maybe comes out from what you've been hearing as the backup to Gunner heading to the season, and what would you like to see on Saturday?
Yeah, it's interesting, right? Because Ryan Montgomery obviously has the big injury in his senior year, was never really at full health last year. But everything you've heard about the kid is a positive, right? It's that understands the offense, commands the huddle when he's in there. And we've gotten a little bit of a taste of Ryan Puglisi. And I think he's one of these guys where can make every throw on the football field. I think much more athletic than he's probably gotten credit for. I think he moves really well in the pocket, gives you an option with your legs that I think people would generally like attribute to Gunner, but I thought Pug did some nice things with his legs in the limited time that he got last year. So I'm interested to see both of them just to kind of showcase and see what they have. Ultimately, if you're a fan of the program, you want them both to be excellent, right? Like you want this to be as big a battle as any going into the season because you never know what's going to happen, especially as physical as Gunner, as much as he kind of puts his body on the line, there's no telling if he gets injured. And so you always want to have guys on the roster that can fling it and lead the huddle and provide you with valuable time if they're called upon. I mean, dude, think about this. Look back at the run in 21. Nobody was anticipating that Stetson Bennett was going to be the quarterback that leads the program that year. And so absent an injury to JT Daniels that gives Stetson a shot, who knows what ends up happening that year. So I always think it's great at that position, at all positions, obviously, but back is, so to have options there and to have depth there is paramount. And so I'm interested to watch both of them. And generally in the G-Day game, Georgia throws it a good bit. So I think they'll both get the opportunity to sling it a little bit, and we'll kind of get to see both of them in their element with these rosters and see how they look with a receiving core that has also got some things to prove. So yeah, I'm looking forward to the platform for both of them and think it'll be great.
Yeah, I've been hearing really good things about both. I even heard Ryan Montgomery may be compared to like a Jake Fromm, commanding the offense, running the plays. And he can move around in the pocket too. So very interested to see him and Puglisi. He's got a cannon. So be good to see depth and backup there. Also, on Gunner Stockton, what do you think he needs to improve on his game to be better or even great for Georgia coming into the 2026 season?
You know, with Gunner, I think it's probably being able to make throws at all three levels. I don't think there's any doubt that he's got arm strength and is able to unleash it and can obviously throw the deep ball and did a nice job doing both of those things last year. I think what I would like to see from a progression perspective is his ability to layer throws. So if we're going to work in that medium range in the passing game, can he feather that in? Can he have some touch? Put some balls in places and give some guys some opportunities to run. I think that's the thing I'm looking for from a progression perspective. I also thought there were times last year that he maybe didn't stay on things long enough and go through the progression long enough. And look, man, first time starter. Okay. So I think you have to give him some grace. And I think for his initial showcase as the starter of a major program to win an SEC title, go to the college football playoff and play as well as he did in some monster moments, man. I mean, the way he played in the fourth quarter in Knoxville, I really thought that was a season turner for the program, because if they lose that game, who knows how the season ends. Time performance like that, I don't think he questions his moxie, toughness. He's really not scared of the moment. And so all those things are outstanding, but I would like him to progress from a guy who just kind of lets it rip all the time and is a bit of a gunslinger as it pertains to letting it fly, to being able to hit throws at all three levels on a consistent basis and be able to really, really stress the defense. He did a great job protecting the football last year, and I think he needs to continue to do that. But that's where I would look from a stepping stone perspective, is layer throws better in the intermediate passing game.
Yeah, completely agree with all that, and I think that him being the second year starter and being under Mike Bobo again, that knowing he's going to be the man is going to be very important. you saw Stetson Bennett improve as he had the reins. So I think that's going to be really important. And speaking of that, he is going to have some new pieces around him. So I was going to see who are you excited about at wide receiver or tight end in the spring game? And then in regards to it is WrestleMania week, and I am a wrestling fan. Maybe who's going to get over, or maybe who are some new baby faces that no one knows about on wide receiver or tight end?
I love a wrestling tie-in. I am also a wrestling fan. I went to WrestleMania when it was in Atlanta many years ago. So, yeah, I would say baby faces that you're looking at for this year. Man, I think one of them could end up being Khalil Barnes, right? The transfer from Clemson, who has obviously played really well, as it seems from reports out of camp, and is looking like he's locking down the star position, which is going to give them some more flexibility at safety, and maybe move Rayshon Dinkins back there, which would be great to pair up with KJ Bolden. So, I mean, I think that's an outstanding development in the portal perspective. There's been a lot of chatter about Sokovie White-Hilton, and just if he can kind of step in to the Call Me Zachariah role and, fill those shoes, which are mighty. You're talking about losing 80 plus receptions and 800 plus yards, and the ability to stretch a defense, and every time he touches it, being lightning in a bottle. I think if you're a Georgia fan and watching this program, that's something you have to have some concern about, is who is going to step in that role and be the field stretcher, the vertical threat for this offense. I think Sokovie could be that. He's going to have to fill some shoes in the special teams game as well, in the return game. And so he's one I'm looking at. There's been a lot of buzz about Talon Taylor. Obviously fought the injury last year, had the big drop before he got injured. But the talent's there, and the program seems to be very excited about what he presents. Now, the rub on that is not a lot of reps and not a lot of returning production. I think Georgia's losing 6 of their top 7 receivers, and over 70% of their receiving production is gone. And I've cited this before, but Seth Emerson wrote an article, man, it's been a number of years now, maybe 4 or 5 years ago, where he had some metrics on how returning receiver production is one of the greatest predictors for success for a team going into a new season. So historically, if you're a Georgia fan and you're losing 70% of that production, that would make you a little nervous. Now, the transfer portal has changed that. So I would be interested to see what those metrics look like, and kind of how that conversation changes when you have the portal where you can replace folks. Like, obviously they bring in Isaiah Canyon, big target from Georgia Tech. You're hoping that he's gonna to fill a void there that is left by Noah Thomas and Colby Young and all the folks that were bigger receivers and had ability to stretch the field. So that's something to look at. But London Humphrey comes back. He is the most seasoned returning receiver, so he's going to have to step up and continue to progress and have a good year. I think the other thing is, Trey, and this is what's interesting about Georgia, is yes, the receiver room is quite a bit of an unknown, but boy, you got a ton of talent and production coming back in that tight end room. And so if they can utilize that appropriately, and you utilize Lawson and you utilize Elias Williams and all the talent that's in that room, I think you can buffer that loss of production a little bit. And that's my hope, because look, man, that room is full of guys that went to Xavier School for Gifted Youngsters. I mean, it's mutants everywhere. So I'm excited to see what's going to happen out of that room. And yeah, you asked about baby faces, and I said could be Khalil Barnes. I think Sokovie's another one, but the ultimate one for me is Nate. Like, Nate is the baby face. Like, if there's a guy that gets it and wants to bleed for the program, it's him. And man, I thought keeping him in the program in the offseason was one of the bigger things that Kirby and the staff could have done. So yeah, those are the guys I would probably point out.
Yeah, I'll love all those. And I think Elias Williams, I'm sure everybody heard about the viral hit, but I think he might be really for a breakout year. I'm really excited for him. And then maybe even seeing Caden Prothrow getting some snaps too, maybe as a hybrid.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And then also, so on the defensive side of the ball, who are you excited to see? Maybe any kind of freshman dark horses or anybody you're looking at on the defensive side of the ball?
Yeah, I mean, look, the name we keep hearing about is Chase Linton, right? That he's had a really good spring and hopefully is going to continue to come on. I think what I'm most interested about in the defense is probably less about a singular player and more about maybe a group scheme. 20 sacks last year. It's the least amount of sacks Georgia's had in the Kirby Smart era. And I think that has to change. I just think you have to have, if you look on offense and you think about big plays, explosive plays, that would be sacks and turnovers on defense. And I know that, they come havoc plays, explosive plays, but I think there has to be more of that. I think the defense has to be more of an offensive creator than it was last year. A lot of times the offense had to work very hard to get the points they had. They had to cover a good bit of ground. I would like to see more short fields, more turnovers, more behind the sticks action for opposing offenses. So I think that's a big one I'm looking at. And look, whether that comes from Chris Cole or Amaris Williams, or, I mean, look, man, I think all the talent in the world is there for Elijah Griffin to be an absolute game wrecker. So I think the talent's there. I thought Gabe Harris came on so strong at the end of last year. I thought him not being healthy for the playoff was a huge blow to that defense. I just think he's going to be a very, very pivotal player for the Georgia defense during 2026. And then, Raylan coming back was a very big deal. If he had decided not to come back, you're talking about you lose Raylan and CJ from that linebacking core. And so I just, man, that's where I think I have probably the most trepidation, if I have any, because there's been a lot of smoke about this Georgia defense, that they could be one of the best, if not the best, defensive unit in the country. And I'm kind of going, dude, CJ Allen ain't here no more. You're talking about leader of the defense, leading tackler, and so both corner positions. Ellis Robinson continued to progress last year, and I think has all of the tools and makeup to be, a day one guy in the NFL draft. Like, that's how good I think he is. And then you talk about some of the returning folks at corner, and man, I thought DeMello Jones, Sugar Bowl notwithstanding, did some really good things last year, man. And I think if he can continue to progress, and you got both those guys man in each corner, that bring pressure and all these things. So, yeah, man, I think the defense is real interesting. There's a lot of potential there where they could be a field tilting unit. And so I think, like it always is, we'll see what we get. And maybe we get a little bit of a preview of that on Saturday.
Yeah, really excited too. I hope for a much improved defense. Also, I'm excited to see what kind of scheme and everything Larry Knight, outside linebacker coach, because he really improved. I know it's Arkansas State, lesser, but went from, I think, like 19 sacks to 39. I mean, even if you did that in flag football or whatever, that's impressive. So I hope we can get in with those guys. And we got better athletes and everything. So excited to see what the defense is. Definitely going to take a step up. And then how about, what's your thoughts and any questions about the offensive line coming into the spring?
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, because that's actually the thing for me that's top, right? That's the thing I have the most, I don't know if questions is the right word, because there's a good group coming back. I thought Drew Bobo getting hurt in the Georgia Tech game, I don't know that the offense ever fully recovered from that. Yeah. Which I think speaks to Drew Bobo's value. I think he was probably doing more from a coverage and protection perspective, making those calls and making sure the offensive line was where they're supposed to be than we thought he was. I also think, too, just inherently, because of their relationship, Gunner trusts him so much. And so I thought Gunner kind of heard footsteps a little bit after Drew wasn't in anymore. And I thought the offensive performance reflected that really in the Georgia Tech game. Even, man, you go to the SEC title game, which the scoreboard indicates Georgia blew the doors off, but it's not like the offense was just mowing Alabama down. Like, it was a bit of a grind. That was one of the games all year, one of the rare occurrences where they did get some short fields. And so, yeah, man, I'm super interested in that. So a healthy Drew Bobo is great. Ernest Green coming back, ton of experience. Dontrell Glover had a nice year. Juan Gaston is an absolute freak. So to have him healthy, I think could be great. All reports from Daniel Calhoun have been outstanding. And then the one you keep kind of hearing murmurs about is Ja Jackson, right? You got the converted basketball player who you have to think has great feet, huge size, 6'10", 350. So if you can utilize that athleticism and post him up at one of those tackles and get some production, man, it could be incredible. But yeah, I like that room. I like what they have. Obviously, new offensive line coach this year, so we'll see what that looks like from a development perspective to see how that changes from a production perspective. But I think the ingredients are there for them to have a very good offensive line. Lots of returning experience on the interior line. And then, you just hope that things are okay at the tackle position. Obviously, Monroe Freeling fixing to be a day one draft pick, a la Palm stand up. But I think if you can do that, and I think Georgia's roster has the athletes and the potential to do that, I think they'll be in a good spot. So I feel good if they can stay healthy, which is always the caveat, I feel like, with all of this. But if they can stay healthy, I feel like there's some options in that O-line room where Georgia should feel good about the Georgia Department of Motor Vehicles, the road graders up front. So
exactly. And side note, I know it's great to have them, but do you think 6'10" is like too big for an O lineman? Because you kind of get like, can he move around? I'm sure, but you always hear 6'6", 6'7" ideal, but that's that's extra. And then you got Gunner throwing over him. If he gets his hands up, I don't know. I just think of him like great to have that height, but big man.
Yeah, that's a valid question. I mean, you always think about the bend and the ability to move and the mobility and all those things. And I think those are all valid questions. I think probably what gives me less pause is that playing basketball for as long as he did at the high level that he did, you would think he has to be very agile and very good on his feet. That could all be wrong. I have no idea. And the other thing is how do you move when you've added football weight? So we'll see. But yeah, man, I mean, 6'10" is a massive offensive lineman. I think those are valid things, especially given how many balls it seems like Gunner had tipped last year. So, that's certainly something to be concerned with. But if he is able to take up space and move well and keep guys off the quarterbacks behind, I'm all for it.
And then one other thing, I was just looking at it. Let's just say Drew Bobo, because it's the Lens Frank, and I know it takes a while to get over. If he's not maybe ready game 1, game 2, is it still Malachi Tolliver? I haven't heard his name at all. Do you think he'll be the man, or do we know who'll be center if Drew Bobo's not ready?
That's a good question. I mean, all things would point to that, given that he finished the year there last year. I will say, man, I thought it looked pretty clunky when he was in. He just didn't look super confident. And look, that may just be a product of being thrown into the fire and he wasn't completely ready. But that's a position, if we're being very honest, that Georgia fans have been extremely spoiled at for a number of years now. And so I think that you're kind of used to there being this unbelievable depth there with NFL caliber guys and guys that have been, centerpieces of these offensive units. And so, I don't know. The short answer is I don't know. I don't know what that looks like without Drew Bobo. I hope he is back and healthy, but you're right. The Liz Frank is an interesting injury. And especially at a position like that where A, you're carrying weight, but B, the feet are exposed. Like you're getting stepped on, you're having to move, you're at awkward angles. And so, I'm pretty sure the Liz Frank has connections to like the fourth metatarsal, not to get too crazy, but, my son broke his fifth metatarsal. So this is the only reason I have any insight on any of this. But the Liz Frank it's an interesting injury. So hopefully he's fully healthy. I mean, I think that's always the thing you want, A, post spring, and then B, as fall camp ends going in the regular season, is health. You just want as much health as you can across the roster so that you're fielding the 22 that you want to have on the field each Saturday.
All right. Yeah, healthy. Is it availability is the best ability? So, yeah, of course.
Got that right. Yeah, amen.
And then real quick, just because it is next week on the draft, a chance maybe we can get 3 dogs in the first round? You think it's just going to be 2? What's your thoughts on the draft next week?
I don't know, man. It really depends on the reports you see. I mean, the only one that seems like a lock to me is Monroe Freeling. I mean, I knew that he would test off the charts at the combine. He's just built for it. Big kid, athletic, moves well. You know, his mom's a yoga instructor, and he practiced yoga for a long time. So, dude, I knew he was going to test well, and he did. I mean, he was off the charts. And so I think he will be a first rounder for sure. After that, it's just a we'll see. I think that the thing that guys leaving Georgia have going for them is the league is very aware of the standard. And so I think if you're choosing between player A and player B that was at Georgia, the kid from Georgia is going to have a leg up. I think you've seen that with whether it's the Eagles organization or the Packers organization or whoever it may be, right, who has drafted tons and tons of dogs over the last 3 to 4 years. There's just a championship standard in place. And I think a standard of excellence from a training and I think preparation perspective that the NFL is very, very in on. So I think there's a good possibility there could be 2, maybe 3. But if I was betting money, I would bet all of my money on Monroe in the first round. And after that, I'd probably have a little more scared money. I'll put it that way.
Yeah, I'm definitely with you on that. I'd say maybe if they got C.J. Allen, I just think him not doing the combine, had his injury, kind of setting back a little bit. But I'm with you. It looks like Monroe Freeling, unless there's a reach for a Georgia kid in the late first.
Yeah.
Yeah, Seth, appreciate you coming on again. Always a great guest. And we got G-Day, 1 p.m., ESPN Plus on Saturday, the April 18th. And how we follow you on social media.
Yeah, man, we're on YouTube. We will start posting again here probably in May. We'll start having a guest series. We did a bunch of work last year in the FCS space, and so had a bunch of FCS coaches come on and share their stories. We're going to try to continue to do that. I think we're also going to do some more probably shorter but individual team-based previews as the summer breaks down, and maybe even some like individual player type spotlights, just because there is so much movement in the portal, new guys at new places, all those type things. So trying to do all that. Last year was the first time we had done in-depth conference previews all across college football. And so we'll do that again too. So really in the kind of 100-day countdown to college football, we'll get back rocking and rolling again. So it'll be a ton of content on YouTube, and then we'll post, shorts and reels and all that type of stuff on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook. You can find us on all those. I prefer Walk On, and then on Twitter too, obviously. So if you're on Twitter, X, I'm still called Twitter. I'm an old man, Trey, but
I call it TikTok.
Yeah, we're on all those places. So wherever you enjoy being, come find us. Interact with us, ask us questions, whatever it may be, man. We love talking football, and we're about to be in the best time of the year. So we're excited about it. Appreciate you inviting me back on. Always enjoy getting to hang with you and talk with you.
Yeah, man, appreciate it. Definitely check out Preferred Walk On YouTube. It's growing on there, and Instagram as well. Yeah, appreciate you coming on again, Seth.
Appreciate it, Trey. Always good to be here, man. You're doing great work.
Thanks, man. Go Dogs.
Go Dogs.